Welcome to the Blogger Genius Podcast, brought to you by MiloTree. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Today, my guest is Deepak Shukla, who is an SEO expert. He has his own agency called Pearl Lemon in the UK. He was on the show previously talking about SEO strategy, and I got tremendously amazing response from his first episode. I will link it in the show notes. Today, we're talking about something called online reputation management, which is really interesting, kind of blew my mind. So without further ado, here is Deepak. Deepak, welcome back to the show.
Hey Jillian, how are you?
It is so great having you back on the podcast. And as I've shared with you, I got such great response from your first episode. If anybody hasn't listened to it,
thank God.
I'll link it in the show notes so you can hear part one.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun, and thank you. I'm really glad and happy to hear that. So thank you to the listeners.
Yeah, you were so generous with what you shared. And since then, just to get everybody up to speed, we have decided that we're going to start working together for MiloTree.
Yes, amazing, exactly.
and the cool part about it is because, there's one thing to sharing tips and strategies like on a podcast, just to be talking about it, and it's another thing to actually do it and see what happens. Yeah.
Completely agree.
So we had our kickoff call with David, my partner, my husband, and afterwards we're like, oh, I wish we had recorded this. So next time we do that, we'll record it. And we'll release it so that people can hear us strategizing and talking about ways we can dig in with SEO, with marketing to grow MiloTree.
Completely agree. I'm on board.
I know, so it's really fun. And I don't know if anybody has ever listens to the podcast Startup, but the first season was exactly that. It was them trying to raise money and kind of what the journey was and all the mistakes and the warts. So hopefully you'll get to see our mistakes and warts too, and be kind.
Exactly, be kind. I agree. No, I'm happy to be part of the journey, Jillian, and yeah, I'm excited.
Awesome. Okay, so today what we were going to do was we were going to go deep in another SEO strategy. So offline, you and I talked about the topic of online reputation management.
It's how we do everything offline anyway, isn't it? I mean, online reputation management really simply is a fancy way of saying, well, what do you think about that, Jillian? Or what did you think of that movie, Jillian? Or have you shopped at H&M or Primark or Walmart? What was it like? It's literally that, but just online. The management of a reputation that a business has. So it's yeah, let's get into it. There's a lot there.
Because when you said it, I was like, I don't even know what that means or how it would relate to an online entrepreneur or a blogger or somebody like that. So would you kind of start there? Like, what is the benefit?
Yeah, absolutely. So really simply from let's start from a couple of ways. So from the kind of common sense perspective, right? When you're about to make a purchasing decision, it's very typical to be part of your kind of initial filter. Does this business or does this individual or does this product or does this service or does this restaurant, whatever it may be, have, good reviews? What do people think about it? It's something that's, a big part certainly of, our landscape as, consumers. You before you go to the cinema, you'll look at IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic or something. Before you buy something from Amazon, you'll look to see if they're a trusted seller. Same thing on eBay. And the dividing line between that being different from B2B and B2C is ever blurring. And that's why there's probably been this huge rise. Many listeners probably, or some listeners have noticed that you just start, as I call it, seeing stars and stripes in search a lot more with, featured snippets and just basically seeing stars when you Google like a company name. And that's everybody, what I want you to have. So when people are deciding or people are thinking about, can I trust, working with you guys, they'll quickly look and see that, well, everybody's saying good things about them, therefore this is important. And for anyone who's kind of a technician, if you look up, for example, like Moz Local, their survey basically indicates that online reviews count up to as much as up to 10% towards kind of local SEO in general. It's got a huge kind of constituent, ranking factor as to what will help you rank if you do any level of local service. And that's, again, correspondingly beginning to leak into, nationwide search. And that's why, there's sites like, I don't know, Capterra, or, the WordPress repository for plugin reviews, or the Shopify repository for, plugin reviews. So it's really looking at that person, right? Because this is about conversions. It's really looking at a person who's about to make a decision whether to install or to add to cart or to download. And they're deciding whether, your business is one that's trustworthy, and then Google can decide, therefore, how well, or even, the algos that be at Shopify and WordPress, how well are they going to rank you? Well, let's see what, my friend Jillian is telling me about, this app before I download it. She's given it 5 stars. There's 100 Jillians that have given this product 5 stars. Therefore, of course, it's going to be the case that that's going to help you basically get, highest up on the shelf at eye level where everybody's looking, which is where you want to be.
It's so funny you saying this, because in my head, I haven't really thought about it this way, but like everything I do is all about reading reviews. My husband refuses to go to a restaurant that isn't highly reviewed on Yelp. Like, we could be walking by a restaurant, we're someplace that we've never been before, and I'll go, how about we go here? And he'll be like, no, because he has to get on his phone and see what the Yelp review is. And we just moved, and so we're buying stuff for our house, and like a lot of stuff on Amazon, and it could be like a trash can. And I am always reading the reviews of the trash, like it's something stupid. I am trained now to read reviews. Or my Uber driver, I want that 5-star Uber driver.
Yes, exactly.
But I hadn't even thought about, it's just it's like just part of my nature now, that all I think about is how highly reviewed is something.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And when you kind of inverse that and think, how highly reviewed am I?
Definitely.
Absolutely. And I mean, at its simplest level, Jillian, the big takeaway for everybody, of course, and we'll get into the hows to make it like easy, because people are kind of fearful of the idea of asking somebody, or, how does it work in practice? But reviews are huge, and your wonderful partner, David, has just demonstrated that by making you literally move away from restaurants that you're outside the front door of.
Yes.
Because it doesn't have, how powerful is that?
I know. But it's funny, because remember, you'd be on vacation, you see a restaurant, you just go in, and it's like, oh no, we don't do that anymore.
Yes, exactly. And, here's a statistic, I think, that is mind-blowing to me, that, local search, as in the Google 3-pack, i.e. the stuff that appears in, when people run searches and they are running a local search, apparently up to more than 60% of the time, depending upon what comes up within the top 5, it results in an offline purchase. It's incredible. And I Google Business, Google My Business, they're placed on the right hand side. They encourage you to go out and get reviews. It's part of their listed ranking algorithm, but Google is saying, hey, help us help you. Ethically go and ask customers for reviews. And to make this really practical, and this is the part that I think sometimes people get worried about, you don't just need to get reviews from customers or clients. You have partners, you have people that you pay for services, people that you buy services from, people that you've worked with in business, people, that you've done lots of weird and wonderful things with. As long as there's, something commercially that's happened and they feel that they've benefited or vice versa, there's no reason why it isn't ethical to ask them for a review. And, that is something that is probably the lowest hanging fruit in terms of going out and generating reviews out of the gate, because you'll have friends that you built in business and, LinkedIn recommendations.
Right. I like what you're saying, which is being strategic about how you curate, that it is about curating your reputation. It's not just saying, hey, anybody, write a review for me, but it's saying, I know this person, I've done business with them, that person is going to say something that will shine a light on how good my product or service is.
Absolutely. I think that, you've hit the nail on the head, Jillian, that, within your network through, and when I say you, I'm talking to you, the audience, right? You're in business or you're going into business, but you at some level have done something that constitutes, advice. One of the things that I began doing when I was starting my agency in the early days, for the first 2 months when I was scrabbling, I would have 20-minute calls where I'd give some great advice. People would say, amazing, thank you. It wasn't commercial. It was just a conversation. And at that moment, they would say, wow, thank you so much for this advice. Can I help you in any way? I would, at that moment, have a link ready and say, actually, David, Jillian, you can. Is it okay if you just leave a review for me, just reflecting what you've just said, that you had a consulting call with Deepak, it went really well, or whatever you want to say that you think is relevant, could you do that for me? And, who's going to say no after that? And that was probably where I got my first 30 reviews from across the board online.
Wow. Okay. Today, just before I got on this call, I got an email from someone who I don't know and who just said, I want you to know I'm really enjoying the podcast. And I wrote back, thank you so much for reaching out. I'm so glad. We've got some great episodes coming up, so stay tuned. And now I'm kicking myself that I didn't say, hey, by the way, could you, write a review on iTunes? Here's a link.
Jillian, the goodwill is not lost. I would recommend and advocate that you go back through your inbox, search keywords that relate to anyone who's left an enthusiastic response, and spend 2 hours crafting a shed load of follow-up to say, you know what, I'm kicking myself. Is it okay that what you wrote here, insert quote, you could reflect that, you putting a review online? I'd really appreciate it, like smiley emoji, prayer hands, and see what it throws back. Because I've also done that exact same thing. And that was how I followed up. And 20% of the time people say, you know what, yeah, I can definitely write that for you, because there's still goodwill between us.
Oh, because I have to say, I don't know, putting maybe some emojis in there, like it's hard we talked about this the last time. It makes me cringe. It's hard to ask.
I understand. You have to, when we I always go into conversations like that within mind that everybody favors the underdog. So position yourself as the underdog. And when people feel like they're doing something to help you succeed and that you're being really kind of nice with it, I found that I get way better responses, and the best way, in absence of my body language and tone of voice and my loveliness on call, is emojis.
I just have to tell you, I there's a reflection on my screen right now so I can see myself, and as I'm talking to you, I am like holding my mouth because I can tell that, like, not consciously, but I can tell how uncomfortable this is for me. I have my hand like over my mouth going, oh, this seems so I have to work. I feel like this is like our therapy session.
Hey.
That, I have to get better at being okay asking for that.
And if it helps for the technically minded people out there, Google is beginning to index emojis as part of search.
Ooh, really?
So you can search with a burger icon plus near me, and Google will bring up burger joints near you. It's something that has begun to start featuring recently. Therefore, this is a thing. The young kids are doing it. So let it be known that there's data to support the rise of the emoji, even from a Google ranking perspective.
That's so interesting. Hey, it's Jillian, and I am doing the uncomfortable. I'm doing what Deepak suggests. I am asking you to rate me and to rate the Blogger Genius. So if you head over to iTunes, please leave a review or rate us. I am so curious to hear what you have to say. And remember, if I can do this, so can you. So now back to my interview with Deepak. Okay. Is there a use case for a blogger? Let's say I'm a food blogger. We have a lot of food bloggers. Is there a use case for reputation management for a food blogger? Let's say I don't even sell any, or let's say maybe I do affiliate marketing, maybe I sell a cookbook, and I make a lot of money via traffic and working with brands.
Yeah. I think that it's a really amazing place to get reviews, because the biggest number one thing when it comes to, converting traffic, you're a food blogger, you talk about food that you love. What we want is some kind of auditable trail of people saying how fabulous your recommendations have been. And that does a couple of things. So number one, in terms of let's answer the practical question, where would those reviews live? Well, number one, there's places like TrustPilot. Number two, I would look at also where you can get reviews that relate to your industry. My initial place for everything is TrustPilot.
I don't even know what is TrustPilot.
TrustPilot is literally, as it says on the tin, it's all about kind of trust. And I have a TrustPilot that relates to both my business and both me personally. So when you search, Deepak Shukla, for example, so okay, brilliant. I'm thinking out loud now. Yes, to extend it. So to be practical, number one, TrustPilot is a great platform to ask people for reviews upon. It indexes very well in Google, and it does give you the stars and stripes effect, which is pretty nice. If you search even Deepak Shukla, it's about position number 9, so people can actually rank for their own keyword or their own name. So if you're a food blogger and your blog is, I don't know, Frank loves food, or Frank Reynolds, because you're Frank Reynolds, then you can get some stars and stripes next to your name. If you are a food blogger, so it really helps with branded search, number one. And then people see that you're someone who's got a lot of reviews online, therefore they'll trust the advice that you give. So really simply, food blogger. So number one, TrustPilot. Number two, Facebook reviews, because Google indexes Facebook reviews big time. So one of the things that I quickly did was that I have my own personal Facebook like page. It stands to reason that a blogger will have a like page that either relates to their blog or relates to them personally.
Well, like if you have a business page on Facebook, people can leave reviews?
You can leave reviews. You can leave a review for somebody. So you could go over right now to me on Facebook, and you'll see that I've got about 30 plus reviews. Document everything. When someone leaves a comment on your blog, also ask them to, could you write that on Facebook as a like? And then you can begin to get the stars and stripes effect, of course, because Google loves Facebook like reviews. Then you've got TrustPilot. If you want to set your business up locally, then you can, also get into the Google business reviews, another ranking factor. And then, of course, you can use that as part of either your copy or your content and put it around any of those key areas that you wish to, of course, have people convert from. So on the same page, for example, that you have a particularly well-performing, or maybe even an underperforming affiliate link that has a high rate of traffic, you could experiment with, inserting, Deepak Shukla as seen on TrustPilot, 109 reviews online, and you can put the direct links to it. And again, it engenders trust that, well, Deepak must know about food if he's got all of these reviews.
I was just thinking, let's say I'm a food blogger, and one of the ways I monetize is working with brands.
Yes.
If I could send them a link, like let's say there's a brand I really love and I want to work with them, like Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
And I find out who their social media person is, and I send an email saying, I love Ben and Jerry's, here's why, blah, blah, blah. But if I also were to put, again, a link to something that gives reviews about my recipes or even working with me, that I am trustworthy and that I produce good content, that could be a great way to give myself that edge.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, if that lends to Ben and Jerry's getting reviews and referring back to you, if that leads to you writing an open letter as a blog post saying, Ben and Jerry's, I'd love to work with you, and then referencing, some way to lead that into a review, then absolutely. And I think that, at a food blogger level, I think that this is where there's space for the individual and building trust and thinking about the ways that you can do that. Because, the irony is that when we talk reviews, blog comments, YouTube video comments, they're all forms of reviews. A review is simply an online testimonial that, verifies that, what you're saying or what you've said or who you are or what you've delivered is of note and is noteworthy. And the really important, biggest takeaway is that document everything. If it's in your inbox and nowhere else, it's useless.
I love that. Okay, so for me, the way that I document stuff is I have a folder in my email and I call it love letters. And if you write me a love letter, I will save it in love letters, but then I don't go back to them. They make me happy. I appreciate them. I always write back to them, that kind of thing. And then I also have a Trello board where I have asked people for reviews of MiloTree, and I will keep those, and then I will recycle those like we have testimonials on our homepage.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I'm not doing enough with these comments and reviews and things like that.
And absolutely, and it's great that you've documented it in Trello as well as, the other places you have them, because you have them there. And this could be even something as simple as creating a dedicated page for your reviews and enabling the Disqus plugin on WordPress or whatever you want to use to capture comments. And then that could be used and repurposed in so many ways in terms of how you reuse that across your site. A lot like these info product marketers that will screenshot so many reviews. And the simplest way to do this is as soon as someone, leaves a comment that's really positive in your inbox or something, an Instagram direct message or a Facebook message, then send them a link to a dedicated, milotree.com/ we'd love to hear what you think about us page, where people can just literally write up a comment and publish it on your site.
Wow. Okay, this is kind of blowing my mind because it is about making it easy to do, right?
Absolutely.
So that because I guess the thing that I would say is all of my stuff, they're all over the place in different buckets, kind of like I'll get to them at some point.
Yep. Build one bucket, make sure that it's so easy for people to just make it as easy as writing a Facebook instant message if you find that the review platforms aren't of use because you're a blogger, and open that page up to the world and let people see. And how powerful would it be of what people are saying about us page, where there's just literally tons of comments that fills up with an endless scroll, and the use or the flow for that is, oh my god, that podcast with X person was so great, Jillian, but amazing. Could you say exactly what you've just said on this page here? You can just type it in and you just send them a link to milotree.com/ wonderful words or whatever it may be.
Right.
They begin they type it in, published, done, off and away, and you've got it documented in a way that Google will index, that reflects upon you really well, that engenders trust, because if it's a social login, then it will leave their Facebook page, it will leave their link to their Facebook, and then the devil's advocate who's thinking, can I trust Jillian and MiloTree? She'll see 57 reviews with people that have left their direct Facebook link, which means they can link back to their actual page, and it creates also a very transparent level of trust. So there's all of these benefits that begin to come from building buckets that make it easier than ever for people to be able to leave reviews.
Okay, so let's talk about, and this is growing. Google is rewarding this. Google wants to know that Deepak does good work.
Absolutely. As I said, it's up to 10% now as a ranking factor in terms of percentages, what Google favors, like reviews. I'm seeing, I would, again, just point to the common sense experience that people have, that reviews are too big to be ignored. There are, I don't know if they're $1 billion, but TripAdvisor,
TripAdvisor, yes,
is built literally around reviews.
Yes,
That's all it does.
It's so funny you saying this, because again, I live my life based on reviews, and I haven't really thought about it. I hadn't thought intentionally about managing my own reviews. Now, let's talk about this, which is, I think what is cool about it is it does make you up your own game. It does make you believe in karma.
Yep.
Which is, I'm going to put my best work out there because somebody could write something about me.
Absolutely. Then it just becomes a win-win always, because it brings more value to the exchange, because you know that you can not only deliver value, but the other person can give value back via the review, because a review, Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this: document, don't create. It's his phrase, and just building opportunities that make it easier than ever for any positive comment to be documented is so important. AppSumo ended up taking advice from me because they couldn't understand how I was able to. I've done a course launch basically, and what's interesting about my course launch was that I was able to generate about 23 video reviews. Literally people on YouTube saying great stuff about the course before anyone had actually even finished the course.
Really?
And then, yes, you could go onto YouTube right now and type Deepak Shukla, or testimonials, I think maybe. I'm just searching now. But there's 23 videos up that are all in relation to a course. And what's really interesting about it, of course, is that none of them had yet finished the course. This was literally after 2 weeks of the course going live, and it's like a 3-month program. And they were like, how are you able to do that? And I said that, yes, if you search Deepak Shukla testimonials on YouTube, you'll find a bunch of the reviews. There's 2 that rank top at the moment, and they're 2 of many. And again, the way that you do this is it's in effect is simple. It's what you see in the retail world all of the time. When do they upsell you the popcorn at the cinema, which they make far more money on than the cinema ticket? It's when you just purchase a ticket and you're really excited to go and watch, the Avengers or Avatar or Bohemian Rhapsody or whatever it may be. So you need to hit your customers with the ask at the point at which they're the happiest. And everybody's the happiest when either one, they're gushing to actually, gushing because they bought something and it's really excited. They're really excited. And then, or after, when they come and reach out to you. I chose with my course, as soon as people were like, hey, I've just bought the course, Deepak, I'm so pumped. I'd say immediately, that is amazing. Could you just record a video, if it's okay, please, saying why you bought the course in the first place, what was different about my marketing, and what you felt made me trustworthy, given there's lots of so-called gurus, inverted commas out there. And people were really happy to be like, yeah, I'll absolutely do that, because it's at the point of purchase that you go and tell everybody, hey, I've invested in, the MiloTree pop-up, or hey, I've just bought something from here. And that's when you want to, move forward with the documentation process.
Okay, first of all, what is the course?
It's called Secrets of a Six-Figure Lead Gen Consultant. It talks about how I've built my agency using cold email, and how you can, it really focuses around how to build an agency based around cold email, because that was how I built my SEO agency in the beginning. Day one, the problem that I had was that I couldn't rely initially on SEO for my initial means of revenue to attract customers to my site to then sell them SEO. So I had to find different means. And it goes through ultimately, it's really about how to build a pipeline, how to build a continual flow of sales calls that you can get on where people are interested in working with you. Because certainly in the service industry, the biggest problem that people have is that you have a great product, of course, as we know, but how do we get people that are interested in potentially buying from you to talk to you? And Secrets of a Six-Figure Lead Gen Consultant really deals with that, the space of lead generation based upon someone who has no network, never wants to meet anybody, wants to work from home. How is it that you go about and build a business? So that's what the course is about, which is of course a side note. It was about
right. No, but I'm curious only because, again, this comes so naturally to you. Okay, how about the idea? So let's go through a couple use cases. So we talked about a food blogger. Let's say somebody who has who sells a product.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that in the space of e-commerce, let's say that you sell a teapot, right? Let's say you've got a teapot because you're British like me, so you drink tea, so therefore you sell it, and you're British Indian like me, so that means that you're the biggest exporters of tea. So you send it from India to the UK, and now you sell teapots. What a lovely business. It's great. So you're selling teapots online, of course, and you may be making, let's just say, 10 sales a day, people that you haven't met. The question always is how do you get reviews? So there's two ways to do this, I think. There's the first way, which everybody kind of knows and works to a limited degree, which is some form of automation, which is, okay, someone's just purchased, boom, hit them with an email saying, hey, what did you think about the product? Could you leave a review? Saying, what you thought about, which can work. Certainly if you're doing things at scale, then I think that, there's a benefit to that. There's a second way that I think can turn customers into raving fans that will write gushing reviews, that can even write, blog posts about your product. And that's the way that I prefer. So the way that you do that, and again, remember what we discussed about everybody favors the underdog. Why do people love Rocky? Why? Absolutely. So in that instance, if you're a e-commerce business owner, deepaksteapots.com, then deepaksteapots.com would have an intern, because you probably do have an intern anyway, because you've got a growing e-commerce business. If you've got an intern, and I do have, for example, I have a virtual assistant called Lincoln. Lincoln works with me. You can look him up on pearllemon.com. I think he's there. Lincoln
Where's he located?
Lincoln's located in Kingston, Jamaica. Okay. I'm slowly employing his entire classroom, which is quite interesting and brilliant. Lincoln really just would see a transaction that goes through from jeremywillis.com, would look up jeremywillis.com online, find him probably on Facebook, and reach out as an intern at Pearl Lemon or deepaksteapots.com and say, hey Jeff, I hope you don't mind me reaching out. I noticed that you bought a teapot. And he's like, yeah dude, and basically creating this level of personal reach out and catching people when they're excited. And it won't work for everybody, because you need to be able to find them on Facebook, you need to find them, you could just email them also, but really if you can send personalized messages, get a really crazy enthusiastic response from somebody saying, dude, I'm so excited, I've just got my teapot, I'm about to get my teapot. You can then ask them the same thing, saying, hey, that's brilliant. I would totally love, if it's okay, could you just record a video saying why you bought the teapot, what you thought about deepaksteapots.com, what was it that made you buy our teapot instead of other teapots? And they're yet to receive the teapot, they've just ordered it, they're super excited. So a proportion of people will be like, you know what, screw it. I will record a video about teapots, or I will leave a review online about teapots, or and again, I'm reusing the same process, Jillian, to support the SEO growth of my course, because I'm beginning to get people to write case studies now and to write reviews of the course and then to link back to the course, at the moment when they're happiest, and then asking them if they do that favor for me. And by and large, people say yes. And when you position it as, someone who's inside the business, if you're an e-commerce store, just reaching out to Jeff saying, hey, what did you think? Sorry to reach out on Facebook. I apologize. But you've just bought a teapot from the company, so of course you're going to accept it. So you're like, oh no, hey man, it's cool. It's really cool. This is really novel. I like it. How can I help? Or, I love your teapots.
Interesting. Is there a way to do a quid pro quo in terms of, like, does that seem smarmy and not as cool? Like, let's say somebody buys your teapot, and guess what? He sells tea, or he sells a different product or whatever, to say, hey, would you review this? And I'd love to take a look at your stuff. Or does that?
Absolutely. You know what? So in my experience, I always go for building that further down the line of the value ladder. So it depends upon the nature of the ask. So in my experience, if someone's like bought your teapot and they sell tea, first of all, you can say, hey, how's the teapot? Or, is everything okay? Why did you buy the teapot? They say, it looks really good. I would, at that stage, maybe ask them to leave a review, and then later down the line, ask about doing some level of higher exchange. Because you know what? A lot of this depends upon who you're asking. If you're asking me, Jillian, I could leave a review in 5 seconds, right? So we don't know how big the ask is. I would say, in my experience, that experimentation, once you've got direct dialogue with a customer, is really easy. It's when you send emails off into the abyss that it's a problem, that you don't know how it's received. So what this does, when you communicate with someone on a direct messaging platform where it feels more personal, you then immediately reframe the conversation. So what connecting with somebody on Facebook does, if it's someone internal and you're selling teapots and the other person sells tea, is it makes the conversation much more mano el mano instead of one business to another. And that's way more productive in terms of eking out something productive.
Yes. I mean, I keep hearing this, which is anybody who leaves a comment on an Instagram post, you kind of have the right to strike up a conversation with them.
Absolutely. I mean, they're your fan. They've said it publicly in some way, or they're expressing their enthusiasm. They like you. Reach out to them.
Exactly. Like that's kind of like, that's your low-hanging fruit. Even people who are just commenting on your post, like that's a way to build that relationship.
Absolutely. And then once you begin to build a process for that, what becomes really powerful is that then you can begin to audit which of these people have a social media presence in their own right. If you have a SaaS product, for example, like MiloTree,
wait, I just want to stop you. It sounds great in your accent. So you're saying I have a SaaS product in my accent, which means software as a service.
Yes.
Like a subscription.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
So go ahead. It sounds better the way you say it.
Oh, I don't know about that, but absolutely. So if you have a SaaS product like MiloTree, then I would say that you're going to have some raving fans who just installed it or said, just bought your product, I'm pumped. And all you need to do is, number one, obviously build a process in place to say, hey, that's awesome. Would you be just happy to leave a review, just explaining why you decided to buy the product? And then that does not order on anything unethical, because you're being very clear about what you're asking for. You're not asking them to review the product. You're asking them to write a review for why they bought the product. That's number one. Number two is that once they begin using the product, you check in and say, how's it going? They're like, hey, yeah, I'm loving it. And you're like, amazing. Could you now leave a second review on a different platform? The first platform could be the WordPress plugin repository site. The second platform could be Capterra, where you can, look at reviews there. That would be the second thing. And then the third thing down the line is that, hey, you know what, this is, out there, but, we'd love to maybe give you 3 months of free. If they have a blog, basically, you want them to write a case study.
Okay.
Or if they've recorded a video testimonial, you can probably you can turn that into a transcript, and you could write, the elements of a blog post in their behalf. To be honest with you, I've just asked people to say, hey, how would you feel about writing a blog post? And some people have said to me, Deepak, I don't even have a blog. And I'd say, how about you create a blog on WordPress.org and just write one up? They're like, you know what? I love your product. For you, man, I'll do it. And they do.
Wow. Okay.
And I say, look, just do it on WordPress.org. Just link back to the site. It's all good. I just care that or I even say, write the blog post and I will sort out the technical and just whip up a WordPress.org site very quickly, just so they can post it for Secrets of a Six-Figure Lead Gen Consultant.wordpress.org. And I don't see really many people doing this, like really 10xing how much goodwill that you get from people and how much people want to see you succeed if they think that what you're doing for them is really valuable.
I love that. I love that. Weirdly, I feel like I am looking right now in the world for moments of kindness. I feel myself trying to be even more kind and giving because I feel like the world is in a tricky place.
Yeah, it is. And,
I notice myself, I mean, I know this is like, but just even at the grocery store, saying a little bit of a stronger thank you, just to validate for people that this world is a really lovely place. So you saying this somehow is triggering that kindness place, like hoping that we all have the capacity for goodness.
Absolutely. And everybody who's listening, that, this all comes from a place of me, assuming and knowing that you're already delivering the value. So the value that you deliver is worthy of asking for a review. And I'd say to anybody that, believe in what you offer. If you don't believe in what you offer, then maybe you're not offering the right thing. Because if once you know that what you're giving is value, then asking somebody if they can help you on your journey by writing a review, by putting a blog post together, by recording a quick 2-minute video, which is, easy as these days, is absolutely, okay, and also the ethical thing to do because it helps them as well,
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. In fact, absolutely. I love this. So do you recommend then on a blog, like even on our MiloTree site, to have like a link to testimonials?
Oh, 100%. You want to overwhelm people with social proof. You want to leave no kind of stone uncovered. It's an interesting thing that it comes from, the sales industry at large, whether it's Grant Cardone, Jordan Belfort, or the people that have come before that, Brian Tracy, that's spoken about it, that people need to be convinced on 3 things. They need to be convinced on, number 1, the company. So the company in this case would be MiloTree, for example.
Okay. Yeah.
But number 2, they need to be convinced on the service or product. So the product in this case would be the pop-ups that you guys offer. They need to be convinced on MiloTree as a company. They need to be convinced on the pop-ups. And they also need to be convinced on the individual who's going to be delivering the product or the service, which in this case might be whoever is on customer support, or, whoever is the account manager, or, broadly speaking, the founders of the company. And those 3 spaces need to be in alignment. So those 3 spaces need to, in order to get as many conversions as possible, because you can have 2 out of 3 and you can still make a sale. People can be convinced on the product, people can be convinced on the company, and people don't really know who the founders are and they can still buy the product. But then you don't build what I call brand loyalty, really.
Right. Because
you connect it more and more so, especially today, to a person. So I would absolutely say that, testimonials, reviews, give people kind of, no room to question the excellency of what you deliver. And certainly I think that, in terms of the conversions that we've made as a business, our social proof Pearl Lemon that we built has been such an outlier, that it's been incredibly helpful in, there never ever being any issues with, quality or trust or service or delivery. And this is me selling, high ticket items where, it's going from, $3,000 to $5,000 a month for people that I've not met on the basis of 1 or 2 phone calls, and they're happy to just wire me money across. And
wow.
What we need to think about in those instances is that what can we do to leave no stone unturned? And this is where, as I said, Jillian, that, a lot of people have typically one of those things out of alignment. And if you're a brand that's, faceless, then you have the issue of, they're not really sold on the people behind the brand because it doesn't exist. And therefore, it becomes a little bit of comparing apples to apples, meaning that, well,
right,
MiloTree is no different from Privy, is no different from Popped-in. But
right,
if I get Jillian with MiloTree, then
right.
no one else is Jillian.
Right. Well, two things that it's funny, I didn't do this from a strategic point of view, but
Yeah.
I started the podcast because I'm super curious, and I thought, wow, if I have a podcast and I can interview people, I can help people by sharing, like, Deepak, your knowledge, and I can learn and everybody can learn. And hopefully people get to know me behind MiloTree, especially because, again, like, we built this for ourselves and it worked, and we're in the trenches also. That was really what I was
Exactly.
trying to communicate. And then
Absolutely.
I also have my newsletter where if you join MiloTree, I send you weekly nuggets. And again, it's so that you see that I'm in here struggling along with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, you know, there's no, like, we're not some big company. We're just David and Jill trying to, you know, build something and help inspire others on their journey.
Absolutely. And your biggest unique assets are completely absent from your website, which is the crazy thing, right? Because there's not any pictures of you or David, which would be really endearing, because I'd be like, I want to support the little guys. Instead,
Yes.
you haven't cross-fertilized. I can go from your podcast or to your blog to MiloTree, but I can't go from MiloTree to anywhere else.
I know.
And it looks and smells and feels a lot more like a big company selling
I
a
think
pop-up.
that's what we were trying to do, was not to build again. I think trust was to, you know, have us look bigger than we are.
Absolutely. Well, you're selling a product that's, you know, for $9 a month. It's going to be a very much big, you know, small business is going to be buying it. It's going to be composed of individuals.
Right.
For what
Right.
I do, Pearl Lemon, because I'm trying to sell, of course, a high-ticket service that doesn't scale in any way like MiloTree does, it's important that, you know, for me to make sure I position myself and my agency as a company, of course, that we are, but your audience is different from the audience that I sell to.
Yeah.
And it
Yep.
needs to be that there's a little bit of a misalignment with
Yep.
what you offer versus who's buying it.
Yep. I see that. Yeah, I think that we're not putting that, again, that things are in buckets. I've talked about this previously on the podcast, and we need to kind of build more of a cohesive whole.
Well, the brilliant thing is that, you know, it's already, you know, with all of that being said, the design and how it is presented is already excellent. And it's just little tweaks that, you know, we can apply to, you know, the company. And we all do this, right? We fall into what I call a little bit of a corporate mode, and we forget kind of where our roots are and why people followed us in the first place. And I think that certainly, you know, the more that we see of that, and it's going to be, you know, relatively simple. I think the greater returns that you'll get, because that's of course, as everybody talks about, certainly in the blogging space, this is how you build your tribe. So let's give people opportunity to become loyal to MiloTree.
Yes. Oh, Deepak, honestly, I feel like this has been so valuable. And I hope as bloggers, entrepreneurs, creative entrepreneurs, that you recognize, like I am recognizing, the value of people getting to know you and writing authentically about you. And I see so many ways that this is valuable. One being Google.
Yeah.
You know, think in your own life where, you know, like you won't go to a restaurant unless it has good reviews, or you won't buy that
Absolutely.
product on Amazon. Just think in your, you know, or go on that trip without looking at TripAdvisor.
Yeah.
So you've got Google, but also you've got that personal touch.
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
feel that people can go, oh, you know, like we've gotten some reviews, for example, where people have said, wow, Jillian and David were so helpful, because one thing that we try so hard is to provide really good customer service. And I've always discredited those testimonials
Yeah.
because I've weirdly thought it doesn't make us look corporate if they're talking about, you know, Jill and David being like right there. solving solving people's problems.
Yeah, yeah.
And now I'm thinking, no, we want people to see that.
Absolutely. I think that, you just look to the voyeuristic nature of what people love right now. Snapchat is probably the best example of it as a $1 billion company that's focused around, give us the warts and all snap, literally,
Totally.
of what you're up to at the moment, or, live streams, etc. So I think that, it's definitely a great opportunity, and it's going to be, with people, you do offer so much value, and the beautiful thing here is your neurons are probably firing, and you're thinking of about 110 different things you could go out and activate. And I always wanted to be, I always want, with this advice, I want it to be stuff that you can just go out and do, and that you get, and that it does carry a return and stuff. And I think that this is certainly where everything is going, or if not, it's already gone. And the more that you can kind of personalize and show your quirks, the more that I think you'll get people that will just love you guys and stay with you.
Thank you. And again, though, for our audience, like if you reach out to brands and you want to sell yourself, get some testimonials that you can then send over so that you can increase your trust. If you sell a product, get people talking about using your product.
Absolutely.
Or if people are loving your recipes, put those up. If you're a food blogger and you're like, yeah, but I just monetize via ads.
Absolutely. Imagine being able to show Ben and Jerry's, Jane's blog about food is the reason why I'm an addicted Ben and Jerry's customer. Imagine getting a review like that and sending that over to their marketing manager. How powerful is that, and how different is that from anything else? That verifies that you're smart with SEO. It demonstrates that you've got real audience, and it's just so different from anything else that it's much more likely to get responses. So if you can generate reviews at scale, and you can get your customers to insert the keywords of the products they bought, especially if you're an affiliate, that just creates endless leverage for the things that you can do with that.
And the one last piece, as women, my audience is predominantly women, get used to being uncomfortable and asking, because I'm right there with you. And I am now going to, after we get off this call, email that person back and ask if they would write just a 2 or 3 sentence something that I can then use.
Brilliant. I think that you absolutely should. And I hope that everyone listening does the same thing.
Yes, we'll do it together. So Deepak, thank you so much for this. I feel like I have learned so much. I hope as audience members that you guys have a bunch of takeaways. This makes me think to put a more personal touch on stuff.
Absolutely. I think that, let's all remember that you can position yourself as professionally as you want to, but no one's fooling anybody. People will Google you before they're going to buy anything from you. Or if they do buy and they haven't Googled you, they're probably going to have a low retention rate because they don't care enough, and it was more of an impulse purchase. So, give your audience reasons to love you.
I love that. Okay, so we're going to be back at some point where we talk about us like down in the nitty gritty, rolling up our sleeves and seeing what's working and what's not. So please come back and listen to our journey.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
Okay, and Deepak, how can people find you?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And well, I say guys. Sorry, ladies. I apologize. Yeah, no, my mistake. I'm sorry. Ladies, if you listen, just check deepakshukla.com. Head to deepakshukla.com. If you're interested in the course I spoke about earlier, there's a pop-up that will appear at the top. If it doesn't, then find a way to message me online on the site. There's a bunch of different ways, and I always do my best to respond to everything, so you can catch me there.
All right, wonderful. And spell your last name.
Yes, absolutely. So Deepak, first name, last name Shukla, Shukla. Shukla. If all of that fails, then you could just look up Deepak Shukla and spell it still incorrectly and write TEDx. I've got a TEDx talk that you could find that ranks okay, so you could go ahead and just wander over to that.
Well, wonderful. Well, I look forward to going on this journey with you.
Ditto.
I hope you liked this episode, and as Deepak said, our reputations really matter. and that includes our social media reputations. If you want to grow engaged, active followers and subscribers, I invite you to go to MiloTree.com to sign up for our pop-ups. You get your first 30 days free and see what we can do for you and how you can really put your social media accounts on steroids.